Let me remind you of something most people never realize while it's happening. Your mind is being programmed every day. The mind is everything. What you think, you become. Buddha. Most people believe programming only happens to computers, lines of code, algorithms, machines. But the most powerful programming system on Earth is the human mind, and it is being programmed constantly. Not once a year, not once a month, every single day. Through what you watch, through what you listen to, through what you repeat, through what you tolerate. Your environment writes invisible instructions into your thinking. Those instructions shape your beliefs shape your behavior, and behavior shapes your life. Most people assume their thoughts are original, but many of those thoughts were installed. Installed by media, installed by culture, installed by fear, installed by repetition. Your mind learns through exposure. What you expose yourself to repeatedly becomes familiar. What becomes familiar begins to feel normal. And what feels normal becomes your identity. That is how programming works. Not through force, through repetition. Bob Marley once said, "Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds." Mental slavery does not require chains. It requires conditioning. If you hear something enough times, you begin to believe it. If you see something enough times, you begin to accept it. If you experience something enough times, you begin to expect it. Expectation shapes perception. Perception shapes decisions. And decisions determine outcomes. This is why the information you consume matters. Your brain is constantly recording patterns. The news you watch, the music you repeat, the conversations you entertain. Every input becomes a seed. Some seeds grow confidence. Some seeds grow fear. Some seeds grow ambition. Some seeds grow doubt. The mind cannot grow two opposite beliefs at the same intensity. Whatever you feed consistently will eventually dominate. That is programming. The world understands this very well. Advertisers understand it. Politicians understand it. Social media platforms understand it. They compete for your attention because attention controls programming. Your attention is the gateway to influence. If someone controls what you repeatedly see, they influence how you repeatedly think, and repeated thinking creates belief. Henry Ford once said, "Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right." That belief did not appear randomly. It was built through what you were told, through what you experienced, through what you repeated internally. The mind does not distinguish strongly between imagination and reality. If you repeat a belief long enough, the brain accepts it as truth. That truth becomes behavior, and behavior becomes destiny. This is why environment matters so much. Your environment programs your thinking. The people around you shape your expectations. If everyone around you settles, you begin to normalize settling. If everyone around you complains, complaining becomes familiar. If everyone around you pursues growth, growth becomes natural. Peter Tosh once said, "Everyone is crying out for peace. Yes, none is crying out for justice." Justice requires awareness. Awareness requires observation. Observation requires distance from programming. Most people never step outside the information loop surrounding them. They repeat what they hear, they accept what they see, they defend what they were taught without questioning where it came from. But awareness changes everything. When you realize your mind is programmable, you also realize something powerful. You can rewrite the code. The brain is plastic, meaning it adapts. New thoughts create new neural pathways. New habits strengthen those pathways. Repetition rewires identity. That means your past programming. It does not have to determine your future. But change requires intentional input. And if you want stronger thinking, you must feed your mind stronger ideas, books, knowledge, conversations that challenge assumptions, information that expands perspective. Your mind becomes what it repeatedly interacts with. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Your thoughts paint your identity. Your identity directs your actions. Your actions produce your results. That chain begins with mental programming. If your thinking is programmed toward fear, you hesitate. If your thinking is programmed toward growth, you pursue opportunity. This is why disciplined thinkers protect their environment. They limit negative influence. They reduce noise. They choose information carefully. not because they are fragile, because they understand leverage. Your mind is the most powerful asset you possess. But like any system, it reflects its inputs. Garbage in, garbage out, powerful ideas in, powerful behavior out. Napoleon Hill once wrote, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." Belief is the key word. Belief determines effort. Effort determines persistence. Persistence determines results. If someone programs your belief to feel small, your ambition shrinks. If someone programs your belief to feel powerful, your ambition expands. The difference between those outcomes is mental conditioning. And conditioning is reversible. You can upgrade your thinking, but it requires awareness of the programming around you. What are you watching daily? What conversations dominate your circle? What ideas repeat in your mind? Those patterns reveal your programming. Most people attempt to change results without changing inputs, but inputs drive outcomes. If your environment constantly feeds distraction, your focus weakens. If your environment constantly feeds negativity, your optimism fades. If your environment constantly feeds growth, your mindset expands. The brain absorbs whatever it repeats. Garnett Silk once said, "Life is one big road with lots of signs. The signs exist everywhere. Books that challenge you, mentors who push you, experiences that force growth. But programming determines whether you see those signs or ignore them. Because perception is filtered through belief. If you believe opportunity exists, you notice it. If you believe opportunity is rare, you overlook it. The mind confirms what it expects. That is why intentional thinking matters. You must decide what beliefs deserve space in your mind. Not every idea deserves your attention. Not every opinion deserves your belief. Not every influence deserves your energy. Programming is happening whether you notice it or not. But awareness gives you control. You can choose what to install. You can choose what to remove. You can choose what to repeat. Positive thinking alone does not change life, but intentional thinking does. Intentional thinking creates focused action. Focused action creates consistent effort. Consistent effort creates momentum. Momentum creates transformation. The mind directs the system. If the mind is weak, the system struggles. If the mind is strong, the system adapts. This is why great leaders throughout history focused on mindset, because mindset determines resilience. Resilience determines longevity, and longevity wins most battles. The most powerful upgrade you can make is mental clarity. Clarity about your goals, clarity about your values, clarity about what influences your thinking. Once clarity appears, discipline becomes easier because the mind stops negotiating. It executes. Your future is not determined by circumstances alone. It is determined by how your mind interprets those circumstances. Two people can face the same challenge. One sees defeat, the other sees opportunity. The difference is programming, and programming can change. Once you understand that your mind is being programmed every day, you gain responsibility. Responsibility for your inputs, responsibility for your environment, responsibility for your habits, because the most powerful programming system is not the world around you. It is the voice inside your head, the thoughts you repeat, the beliefs you reinforce, the identity you accept. Rewrite those thoughts intentionally, and your life begins to shift. If this message reached you at the right time, stay connected to ReMyndU, because sometimes the most powerful transformation in your life does not begin with a new opportunity or a new strategy. Sometimes it begins the moment you realize that your mind is programmable, and you finally decide to take control of the code.